This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're about to begin our meeting. Do we have any volunteers on the prayer?
I will.
Okay. Mr. Burt.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We keep in mind the family of our employee whose wife passed away tragically. Keep in mind the people who've lost others in the community, especially the youth. Pray that you would lead, guide, and direct this board as we do the work for the citizens of Dooley County. In Christ's name I pray, amen.
Amen. Let's all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We have before you a proposal agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to add an item for animal control.
Okay. Tim?
No, sir.
I want to put on there about the grass cutting. You know, everybody about themselves, but I want to put on grant about the pound out there. That's what I'd like to add.
What?
The dog.
The dog pound.
The dog pound.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I guess.
He's agreeing with your number 24 and adding number 25.
Eugene?
No, I'm good.
Tony?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this agenda with additions.
A second.
There has been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hand? That motion carries. Our old minutes were emailed and mailed to all of us. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we accept the old minutes. A second.
Okay, there has been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hand? That motion carries. Before we get started, Mr. Tony, how would you feel somebody gave you a little bit of bottle of water like this right here?
No.
Oh, you know exactly who did.
Moving right along. Item number 2, the financial report. We don't have the financial report ready for much, but I am glad to give a follow-up report. Last time, or the lost and splost in what we collected in March was a significant decrease in what we had collected in January and February. In January, for local option sales tax, we collected $72,000. In February, we received $70,000, but in March, we received $58,000. It was a significant drop. But end of April, we got the local option sales tax went back up to $77,000. So, but there's no expert. I have no idea what caused that dip in the local option sales tax. And then in the special purpose local option sales tax, in January we received $146,000. That was the last of the previous SPLOST term. And then in February we received $128,000, and it dropped down to $105,000 in March. But in April it went back up to $140,000. So
I got a question. Why are they different?
With the different.
No, not about why is the amounts different if it's a dollar? Are certain things not taxed?
No,
Like groceries? No.
the local option sales tax, that's a penny tax, but that tax, get it all together. The state only sends us our portion of that, which the county gets 55% of that. The other 45% is dispersed to the cities, and the state sends the city's portion directly to them and not through us. On SPLOST, the state sends 100% of SPLOST to us, and then we have to disperse it, the city's portion of that to them.
Okay, so they add up.
Yeah, well,
theoretically.
not to the penny, because there are some items that are exempt from SPOS that are not exempt from local option sales tax. It's confusing. All right, item number 3, we still have a vacancy on the DFAX board. We'll keep that on.
Is that an at-large position or is it by a district?
At large.
And,
Might take somebody from Christian.
Exactly. Anybody we can get.
The reason I inquire is Beth English this morning suggested somebody she's gonna talk to that is about to retire from the state, Connie Mercer, and said that she, has a background of that and would be good at it. So she was gonna talk to her to see if she wanted her name submitted.
Has the other lady, has she
Katie Griffiths,
had a meeting and all
she's had several.
with them?
Item number 4, reminder, the River Valley Regional Council, their legislative luncheon is scheduled for May the 22nd in Americus over at South Georgia Tech. And they need us to RSVP before our next meeting. So who does Linda need to RSVP for?
I thought that went by the shortest water bottle.
Makes sense.
Is he up there?
Anybody else? Okay. Preston
Yeah, it's empty. Yeah, so I can-
and Barry.
Okay. All right.
You drinking?
yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, LMIG, and there's a lot of information here, so the safety action plan money that we got back in 24. Just remind you, that's the money DOT, that was a special LMIG that DOT, that Dooley County was eligible for to spend money on a certain list of roads that DOT provide. We could just use that money for safety improvements on that, only on roads on that list. And that was a list that was generated by DOT's motor vehicle accident history. So they sent us $165,600. We chose to use the money initially for center line striping on every road on that list. We completed that, and we still have $7,400 of DOT money unspent. County engineer recommended that we use the remaining funds to paint the little white bars on the pavement at all stop signs at all intersections. Because in that last meeting, the board, y'all said, well, what about instead of doing that, installing double stop signs at the intersections, one on the left and on the right hand side? Short version is we ain't got enough money to do that.
Not every one of them.
Not every one
That
of them.
wasn't the intent when I made that mention that. That was just the major.
Okay. So, well,
Will that cover all the crossbars or whatever you said?
the stop bars, but have enough money to do the white stop bars at every intersection.
Not just the ones that's been striped, but every one of them.
At every intersection on that list of roads.
Okay.
Because that's all we can spend this money on is on those list of roads.
Okay.
And one of the reasons we don't have enough money to do the stop signs, it gets more and more complicated. There's a minimum size stop sign that you have to put on county roads, and we meet that criteria. But if you're spending state DOT money, it requires a larger stop sign. So at every one of these intersections, if we want to put double stop sign, use this money to put double stop signs up, we wouldn't just be buying the left-hand stop sign. We'd have to be buying 2 stop signs, the larger stop sign at both sides of the road. That's why it's going to cost more.
I'll tell you something we need to consider too, if I may mention. My understanding to work speed on county paved road, you gotta post speed limit sign, so you can't shoot radar out there.
I don't want one on my road.
But we got some roads that need it, like narrow roads, Coney Road, Big Flower Car Road, see which one to. But, and I don't know how expensive those signs are, but of course, our folks, we've had to talk with sheriff, because they may not be working the middle, you know. So,
Well, one thing that's around that is the state patrol can enforce minimum speed limits with or without. And so the state sheriff can get them to go out there. We kind of had this issue out around the campground one time, if they're willing to do it. The second thing on that is, somewhere I was traveling recently and they had one of these red light, blue light, you know, and it was neat. And it was one of those things, I think it was in Chris County on Coney Road South. That's where it was. And until you slowed down,
tells you your speed.
yeah, it tells you the speed, but also the lights keep flashing until you slow down. And then I slowed down to win, so I wouldn't get caught. And it's effective, I think. And I think that Sheriff Peavy can borrow that from them, and he may or may not have his own, and can put it on Coney
That's
Road.
probably that highway safety program that, Emerson Lundy Jr. works for them in that division. You know, they move those around
Right.
the state. But you got to ask for it.
But back in regard to this safety action money, do y'all want to do the stop bars, or do you want to return the money back to DOT, or what?
Do the stop ball.
Do the stop bars.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Then, as far as LMIG, regular LMIG, the engineer and Rodney and I had several conversations, and the engineers recommended for the LMIG 25, the regular LMIG for 2025, we received $733,000 from DOT. It requires a 10% match from the county of 73, so we got $807,000 to spend. We've already contracted with Reeves Construction for resurfacing Liberty Church Road. The engineers thrown out, well, why don't we take the money that's left over for this and take the LMIG 2025 local road assistance, which DOT has announced that we're available for, $900,000 for that. That does not require a DOT match. And go ahead and commit 2026 regular LMIG. Put all that money together. And let me show you what that's going to look like.
Sounds big.
Well, it sounds big, but it don't go far. All right, so 2025 LMIG was $807,000. That's DOT money in our batch. The local road assistance was $900,000 but it doesn't require any county match. And then we're just estimating what 2026 is LMIG. I mean, if 25 was 807, we're just estimating 26 is to be 825,000. That gives us $2.5 million to spend. Okay. Well, we've already committed $452,000 for Liberty Church Road, so that leaves us $2 million to spend. We're saying finish with the part of West Railroad Street in Pinehurst that's outside the city limits, because the city just recently resurfaced a portion in. The majority of that street is inside the city limits, but a little bit behind Dupree's is outside the city. Allocate $50,000 for that, and then do resurface Pleasant Valley Road and Parham Road. That will leave $120,000 left over. And we mentioned Cason Road. I'll show you maps of these in just a minute. And then that leaves $120,000 to do to help on Cason Road. So let me go show you where these roads are. I think everybody knows where West Railroad Street and Pinehurst we're talking about. It's that back street behind Dupree. Okay. Then the others. Parham Road,
Pleasant Valley's 4.31.
Parham Road is if you go in Vine, go out Vine, or go out Shiloh Road,
Lambtown.
cross over I-75, and Parham Road is that road right there. And actually, it goes from Shiloh Road, actually, the pavement goes a little bit past Lambtown Road, and then the pavement ends, and the rest of that's a dirt section. So we're talking about, would be resurfacing, and the pavement is getting in such bad shape that if we don't do something soon, we're gonna lose the pavement.
Yeah, that's in tough shape.
And then the other one is Pleasant Valley Road. If you're going from Mina up to Lily on Highway 90, Pleasant Valley's turn to the right there, and it goes all the way up to, ends at Lily Road, comes out of Lily going up to Potter's, Byronville Road.
So that road didn't need resurfacing again?
That road is in really bad shape also in spots, they say. So that's the recommendation from Rodney Hare and the engineer of how to, now the downside, we're gonna be committing, like I said, all of 25 regular LMIG, 25 local road assistance money, and 26 is LMIG. In theory, we should have $120,000 left over in what we're suggesting on Cason Road, but that was mentioned that's on our priority list. But in reality, the pavement on Cason Road, for the most part, is in decent shape. There's two or three locations where there's pipe on the road. The pipe are failing, so the road's sinking down. So the pipe needs to be replaced, and then pavement patched on top of those pipe, and that road to be in decent shape.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's our recommendation.
But that's all it is, a recommendation, right?
So that's all it is a recommendation.
Okay.
But the deadline we're dealing with is what we've already got the regular LMIG 25 money in the bank account. So we got some time on that. The pressing deadline we're dealing with is for the LMIG, the F25 local road assistance, the special LMIG that got started last year. Applications got to be submitted to DOT by June the 15th, or else we won't get that money. And the engineer needs to know what roads we're going to submit for the application.
What kind of paving is this?
Asphalt.
Which is that what they did on Swashine?
This is we're abandoning the old double surface treatment,
We're
resurfacing,
going back to blacktop.
going back to what folks call blacktop, the smooth asphalt.
It's better.
Oh, it's a lot better, but
Yeah.
it's more expensive.
Yeah, cause we were doing it and we ain't getting no longevity out of it.
What was the cost breakdown? Did they have a cost breakdown on the recommendations, estimates?
Not a detailed breakdown.
Like how much Pleasant Valley was of that money and how much of Parham?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got a rough estimate here.
Okay.
Pleasant Valley is 1.1, and the reason Pleasant Valley is so much, somehow or another, when that road got paved, it got paved, the pavement is 24 foot wide.
It's a wide road.
It's a wide paved road, so it's gonna cost more to resurface it. But it's nice to have that wide pavement, but there's a price tag that comes along with it.
But it's still cheaper than the road that you paid for $800,000.
I was saying, I don't know how you read my mind. Right there, yeah, in that trail part, but okay. I want to look at that.
Parham's about to come up, and I haven't been on that road. I would say definitely commit to that. But then there's enough money to do that, isn't there? With what we have left over and 2025s.
Okay, so if we got 2 million, so we take out 800, we got 1.2 million. Yeah, we would have enough to do. So you're saying just commit, you're wanting just to commit 25 regular and 25 local road don't commit.
If Parham's about to come up and we're gonna lose a road, then
Well, both of them are according to Rodney, both of them are in the engineer code, both of them.
Pleasant Valley coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, unless it's coming in, unless I just don't,
Yeah, I want to look at Pleasant Valley Road.
I ride a golf cart on it pretty regular, but,
I can travel down it too.
but because we couldn't, we're trying to lock in, we're trying to lock in pricing based off of Liberty, but are they gonna let us lock in for next? Are they
Well,
gonna?
see, that's the reason the engineer's saying we got such good bids from Reeves Construction. He's trying to take advantage of these low bids to get as many, and they're willing to let us add these roads for those prices.
Okay.
Okay.
It's part, I'm sorry, I failed to mention that part of
Yeah.
the deal.
Yeah, because I
I
was
know
thinking.
some
what
might
if
have
they
other
come in?
ideas of what to piece it up, but I was thinking we might have more time, but we don't. We need to go ahead.
Shot that deadline.
If they honor a bid, then, that removes, I wonder if it's gonna come in lower like Liberty Church Road did, But evidently, he's adjusted his figures.
He did this is not a full-fledged cost estimate. This is just a preliminary cost estimate. And that's all those are, is cost estimates at this point in time. But they should be somewhere close to the ballpark based on the bids we got from Reeves. Now, if we hold off and bid it out next year, who knows what the price of asphalt's gonna be next year. So what's the board's pleasure?
We need to take advantage of the current pricing.
Pricing. I'm good with
All right, before we make a decision,
I'm open if we didn't need to do all of Pleasant Valley and there's something
Yeah, because I
else
would like to look.
that you had to do, then I'm fine with backing off from.
well, we can put Pleasant Valley in the application to get the money secured. Then that buys us a little time if we want to change. If we want to say, well, we want to just do a portion of Pleasant Valley and add a portion somewhere. DOT will allow us to do that
Right.
after we got the money.
Right.
Okay.
The pressing thing is get an application sent to get the money tied down.
Then if that
Yeah, that's fine.
But
gives us time.
But before we go too far, I would, so just other topics for discussion along road projects. River Road North, the section north of Highway 230. Engineers looked at it, and he's saying there's several sections on there that's going to require full depth reclamation. You ain't just going to be able to research. You got to
Cut it down.
He's saying that could cost $3 million.
Gracious.
Just north River Road, South River Road is 3 miles, and he's saying that could cost $700,000. Now, at some point in time, we might try to get some special funding from the state.
I know some
Then-
bad spots on that road, but I didn't know. Oh.
Well, this is just 9 miles long.
Yeah.
That shot is 9.5 miles.
And then just for other, there's roads up there in the Sloshy Trail Estate subdivision that are getting in bad shape. There's roads down here in the Yellow Fly Plantation subdivision that's getting in bad shape. But the engineer did bring up a good point on Yellow Fly especially. Yes, the roads are getting in bad shape, but there's still lots of undeveloped lots down there that there's like 6 houses in the works, new houses to be built in the works down there. He's saying, yes, it's in bad shape, but you might want to consider let most of the lots, the houses get built down there before you go pay. Don't go resurface the road today, and then while these new houses are being constructed and all that heavy traffic tear up a newly paved road.
Yeah.
Let's sort of maintain what we got till most of the lots are built or houses are built, and then consider going in there reserve, and then the road will last a lot longer.
Well,
Okay.
see, that's what I said about that heavy farm equipment.
Mhm.
See, to build a thin road, I mean, it's not gonna let, by the time they get on there in that heat, it's just gonna tear them up. So, we need to go with a bigger, a thicker surface.
And I've asked the engineer and Rodney to, let's try to get either a 5-year or a 10-year plan. Not that's gonna be set in stone, but have at least identify the roads, and then they can shift from year to year, but we'll have a sort of an idea of where we're headed. Don't always be under the gun here right at the last minute, so. All right, but y'all are okay with submitting those lists just to get the money tied down?
Yeah.
And
Always just,
then we can't submit the application for 26 funds until after July 1 anyway.
Can we confirm with Reeves?
Rodney,
They would let us make a change at the same rates?
if we do it this year, if we can let them know that, if we can submit the application to DOT July 1, we'll know from DOT within a week or so, they're gonna approve whatever we submit. So we'll have the money the middle of July.
This, for 26?
Yes, this year. And Reeves would,
Okay.
it's my understanding they would honor it.
Okay.
Evidently, supposedly, I said, state has cut back on some of their paving projects this year, and Reeves is looking for projects.
local.
And we're local for them, so. All right, we'll get that taken care of. Oops, item number 6, the funding request from the Court Judicial Circuit. We're still waiting for them to send the revised request because that legislation passed that hopefully they're gonna request less funds from us because they're getting more funds from the state. So we'll keep that on the agenda. Linda, we're still seeking applications for these 3 positions. Okay. Are you receiving any applications?
Yes, I got about 2, probably out of 6.
Is there a requirement for like high school diploma or GED or anything?
Yes.
That goes there goes that idea.
We've had the Industrial Development Authority on here for quite a while. There was some question about whether Leroy Schuman wanted to continue to serve. Have you had a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, I've texted his wife and told him we're gonna take him off. Yeah, we're ready to take him off. Who's that guy we want to?
Now the recommendation from Scotty from the Development Authority is Carlton 4. That's just a recommendation, and that's up to y'all who y'all want to appoint.
Y'all know him.
He's a young guy, he's out at
He's all right.
Yeah, I like him. I do.
He's
the
the-
CSO.
Well, it used to be now it's called the Farm Service,
Service
FSA Farm Service Agency. He's the new county director out there.
They just moved outside of Lily over to Mike Roper's house.
Between Vaughn and Lily on Highway 90.
Well, I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we remove Mr. Schuman off and add Mr.
Colton.
Carlton 4.
Ford on there.
David did.
I say.
Okay, there has been motion and second. Do we have any discussion? on
And
this?
that will be for a term that he'll finish the unexpired term of Mr. Schuman, so that term will go through December 31st of 28. And then I recommend, let's don't do, Mr. Schuman is also on the Chris Dooley Joint Development Authority, but his current term expires at the end of June, so let's just don't do anything for that and just appoint someone else
Okay.
for that term on that. And that doesn't have to be the same person, it can be. Now, just remind, there's industrial development authorities, single county industrial development authorities can be created in 2 ways. One, by an amendment to the Constitution of the state of Georgia, or by a local act of the Board of Commissioners. The Dooley County Industrial Development Authority was created by an amendment of the Constitution of the state of Georgia. Those type of industrial development authorities, county commissioners are not eligible to serve on those type of industrial development authorities.
However, you have much greater powers that you cannot get under the new one.
The board had,
The board,
that board has more
right.
power. Now, the Chris Dooley Joint Development Authority was created by just local action of Crisp and Dooley counties. County commissioners can serve on the Joint Development Authority. So just wanted to share that information, so.
Okay, Lennon, you know exactly what to put down. You know, Steve went through a lot of stuff there, so you got it in your notes what we need. Okay. All in favor by the show of hands? Okay, that motion carries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, we got a special statewide election, June the 17th, for 2 seats on the Georgia Public Service Commission, with a potential runoff and then a primary election.
They paying for it?
Motion. All right. In the last meeting, we mentioned that the board want to consider making some changes to our retirement plan. Lynn and I was not clear if the board wanted to consider it or not. Do y'all want to consider it or not? We considered this last year. Some other employees have inquired about it, so I'll put it on the agenda. What's the board's pleasure?
Has anything changed from the last time we brought to us and we decided?
The options from the county standpoint, what option the county? No. Just some additional employees have inquired about it. That's the reason I put it on the agenda.
We didn't do it for one that asked. I mean, I don't know how we would do it for others that are now asking.
Well, she will still be eligible. That one that did ask, she will be eligible if you approved it now.
What about the ones that went ahead and retired out after we made that decision? And they left the county employment. They retired out after we made a decision in Bernetta. They went ahead and retired and were not eligible to stay on.
I don't remember. Steve, was that somebody else that we denied?
I don't know who retired.
Again, people retired since we made that decision and were not allowed to stay on. And we had filled those positions. I'm just asking, what's changed from the last time it came to the table? That's one opinion.
Well, looking at this criteria right here, I'm looking at this aging workforce, big time.
What are the positions of the aging workforce?
What you got, the reports you have, there's 3 reports there. One of them is by age. And I've highlighted the folks at 65 or older. Those are the ones that if you were to change, they were the ones that could potentially start drawing the benefits if they chose and continue to work. And then the second page is currently our retirement plan, you can start drawing your full benefits when you reach 65 years of age with 5 years of vested service. That means 5 years of full-time employment, not 5 years of part-time employment. And then you could draw your benefits when you get 30 years of vested service. So, now, vested service is different from years of employment because our retirement plan went into effect in 2009. So that's when normal vesting service began. However, at that time, existing employees were given the option. You could purchase prior years years of service if you chose it. A few folks did. Most folks didn't. So that's why vested years of service and current years is not always the same, especially if you look at that third page you got there. those are in order of years of employment. So we got an employee that's got 42 years of employment, but he's only got 16 years of vested service because he chose not to purchase any previous years of service.
Now, I know the ones that's 65 and up will have Medicare or Medicaid, but what about the ones that's not, who they will have to pay their own insurance?
Well, now, all right, if they continue to work, they'll still be eligible for the county's health insurance.
Or they will be?
Yes.
I mean, they wouldn't have to pay their own though. Wouldn't have to pay their own?
No.
They
Even
wouldn't?
over 65, they could still stay on the county insurance.
I'm just trying to see how they gonna, if we let them work, I mean, come back to work or stay at work. I thought they cut out insurance and all of that. We have to pay for them. They don't.
They can still they can get Medicare and keep our insurance,
Even though they retired.
even though they draw retirement, they can still
And
draw
we would have to pay,
Medicare. We still have to pay the insurance.
I thought we didn't have to
But
pay.
most of them opt out of the insurance and receive the supplement. So you're still saving money there.
We're still paying.
Receive a supplement.
We're still paying for that benefit.
I mean, you could look at that. I
Not as
mean,
much though.
I'm for it, then I'm
If
against
they
it, I'm
retire
for it, then
now,
I'm
Yeah,
against
we're
it.
not paying any of it.
Well, there's pros and cons.
Yeah, 'cause I'm
I
for
mean,
it,
you
then I'm
can't-
against it, then I'm against it, then
You
I'm for
can't.
it. Because we don't want nobody that's over here working, just
Well,
on
they
the
can't.
clock, not doing
Well,
anything.
it can't be a,
If
I
they
don't
were a
wanna use that
qualified
term.
person, they could retire here and go work for another surrounding county.
they got to be able to
If
do
they
their,
still
their
work.
duties.
I don't know. What you think, Mr. Chair?
I'm like you, they had the pros and cons,
Yeah.
I really, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, 'cause I know we got good people like Steve and Linda,
Yeah.
and we might have somebody else out there that just ride the clock. So,
Steve definitely has it. And when it's been that long, but you make you right up there behind Sam. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound like there's an overwhelming desire to do this, so unless somebody's gonna make a motion, let's move on.
You need a motion to leave it the way it is. I mean, it is the way it is.
No, we don't need a motion, leave it where it is.
well, let's think about it a little bit longer.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. We got plenty of other items to talk about. We've been, the bridge on Heath Road at South Prong Creek. Just to show everybody where that's at. This is Pinehurst Hawkinsville Road. Heath Road goes up to Posey Road. That's the approximate location of the bridge. It qualifies under the state's low impact bridge program, which is supposedly their fast track for bridges. Okay, well, they finally it has passed the first level of review. So now they can move on to the next step. Short version of it is it's going to be 3 years before anything gets done out there. The next step takes 3 years, but it's still in the works.
Okay, good. I can tell them why.
That's the short version of the story. So, House Bill number 12, House Bill 92. This is legislation that was adopted in 25 Georgia General Assembly to clean up some issues from House Bill 581 that was from the previous year's. That's dealing with that new homestead exemption deal. And the biggest change is now counties have always not liked that when the assessment notices get sent out, there was an estimated tax liability on that based on the previous year's millage rate times the new year's assessed value. And that always creates problems. So to eliminate that, the county has to, if the county submits an estimated rollback millage rate to the assessors before the assessment notices get mailed out, then that old wordage won't be on the assessment notice. So that was the major thing. It's complicated. Moving on.
So in other words, if you're gonna save them taxes or not increase their taxes by whatever mechanism you do, and you get it early, you don't have all the phone calls, but if you're gonna increase it and you leave it there, you can get all the phone calls.
Yeah, basically. But unfortunately, the state hasn't published how to calculate this estimated rollback rate yet. So, item number 13, just information, the planning commission is going to conduct a public hearing on May the 12th on a zoning variance for parcel 74C53. Basically, they were requesting a variance from the 150-foot road frontage requirement down to 110. This parcel is the cotton gin north of Unadilla on Highway 41. We're talking about that here again, that area out there. That's the shape of that parcel.
I have a question on this triangle there, and it's not my district, but I had a call from a lady that is looking at buying a lot up on North County Line Road, on one of those right in there somewhere. And she was quizzing me about her neighbors and, what's going on, what the development and all is out there. And I pretty much ended up telling her that all that is currently in ag and really has no protections. And because I told her what we had just gone through down the road of dividing it up, I think, into 3 lots, total 2 or 3. But my question is, what would it take for us to put that in, if that's designed to be residential houses, to change that? Because after I talked to her, she didn't want to really buy that because she technically the ones on either side of her could sell and divide out into those, and she just wants a single house on 5 acres, but you can really turn it into multifamily on either side of it right now. And I know the city's talking about incorporating that, and maybe it's just to let them do it and them decide. But I don't know. I feel that the ones that's built there already and the ones looking to go there, it might deter them from.
All right, so I understand
I don't know what the process is.
There's 2 processes for, as I understand it, to rezone a parcel. County can initiate the process, or the property owner can request that the process be initiated. I'm assuming in this part, we talk about the county initiate the process to rezone that to what?
See, and I'm not, R1 would be my go-to, but that prohibits a mobile home, which I've asked for a year or longer for them to look at some single-family mobile home classifications.
So, right, it's my understanding they are very close to making a recommendation to, right now we only have 2 residential zones, R1, which is basically just stick-built homes, or R2, you can have stick-built homes or manufactured homes, single family or multifamily in an R2. You can. That's the way the current zoning is, isn't it?
Yeah,
but what the planning commission wants to recommend is create a 3rd residential zone, have an R1 like it is now for stick-built homes only, have R2 just be for stick-built homes or manufactured single-family homes, and then R3 that you could have stick-built homes, single-family manufactured homes, or multifamily dwellings, which apartments of some sort.
Yeah,
but what's the likelihood of the city annex? Why go to all that trouble if the city's going to annex it in?
well, I don't know how far out they are, but it seems that this is it's getting cut up now. I mean, and
Yeah,
I don't
thi-
even know if the zoning would stop somebody from stacking three. And I mean, I guess but agriculture is the only way they're being able to do that, right? By dividing it up.
Agriculture, you can only have one residence per parcel.
But they're dividing the parcels out.
If it's a certain size.
Got to be a minimum of acre.
But the new zoning, a new zone would not prohibit them from dividing out the
Not-
parcels.
Not unless you change the lot size or something other in addition to the new zone.
I feel for that area because the ones that are there currently, they built a nice place on 5 acres for mobile. There's a couple of double wides up there.
I'm finna ask that question.
Yeah, there is. There's a couple of nice double wides up there on 5 acres, but now it's getting chopped up, and once they see one do it, I just feel they're going to do it. And this lady, she works for the EPA, and her husband wanted to buy it, and they were going. I think they were going to build a house up there, but she was just worried about what was going to happen around it. I didn't know if there was a way to stop. That's a potential good tax haven up there.
Well, you've got two things here. One is the duty of this board to look at the overall zoning map when it's appropriate, and whether or not it takes action to say this area just doesn't fit the criteria for agriculture anymore. And if we're at that level, then we have that discussion. The other thing you have people that want to move into a rural county. We had this in Lee County for years. And what happened is everybody wanted to move out of Albany into Lee County. And when they got up there, they didn't want any services. They wanted lower taxes. They wanted all this. And then it was the unincorporated area of the county around the bottom, because Leesburg's 10 miles north or 7, 8 miles north of all this. And then all of a sudden they demanded the services. They wanted just like in Houston County in Albany, they had fire protection, the paid fire department. All of a sudden we want a fire department. There's a big fire in one of the gated subdivisions right there at the end of Lido Road. And when that happened, we had to then put a firefighter, or they did, at each county to drive the truck. And then we had a volunteer force. Until now, we have a full-time fire department for the most part. And then they wanted water. Then came sewer. Then they didn't want to be on the sewer because now that we provide the sewer, we have an ordinance saying to join. They don't want to get rid of the septic tank. So, and then the same ones don't want to pay garbage. And so you get sort of an idea of people that want to move, at least in that area. And I think it's been true elsewhere. They want to move out of an urban area, but they have the expectations of having all the services that are there. And I'm not saying that's happened yet or it will happen, but eventually the rumor is people are going to come from Houston County into Dooley County. They're not going to go to Drayton. They're going to come to the north end, and it's going to come like that. And so when it comes, be ready. And that's sort of the long view I think we need to be looking at. And it begins with a small picture like this. And I understand completely. If I bought 5 acres and I built a nice house and someone divides next door and devalues my house, I guess, part of that is maybe I should have bought that land, or maybe I should have bought somewhere else. But the other part of it is maybe I didn't realize what I was buying. I don't know.
I think it's I say ignorance. I think it's just knowledge, not knowledge. I mean, how many folks, if we weren't here, would know of all the different zonings and all that stuff? I mean, it's just people don't think about it. But I think you said it when this was divided out into 5 acre lots like it was. That was the time it was no longer agricultural.
Mm-hmm.
You intended to sell home sites. And again, I don't know how much is up there now, but there's a lot left to go. And I've been told the city's going to do that. I don't know when,
But how can they do it without? That's still in the county, right?
right now,
They can annex it,
Okay.
but they have to get our permission to annex now.
All right, but what grounds can we oppose an annexation? Ain't it very limited
Not
grounds?
anymore.
Oh, really?
No, that we just gone through this in Lee County. I mean, I don't know why you would, but there are reasons why and I can get y'all that if it
I'm
comes
not
up.
against them doing it,
I don't-
because they're gonna provide, they're gonna
Services.
send the water and the gas and sewage.
And you're
up there.
still getting the same tax burden.
That's right, we get the same taxes, I don't care if we do it, but until that happens, it seems like all this is just, this keeps coming on that particular, and again, this is your district, but I
But you know, it
had that
to me,
one call.
the developer, it should have had a developer there that would put all this stuff into in the plan.
This was a scam.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
And this started, all these folks at first, when they divided this out,
Uh-huh.
they all bought, the first group out of Florida that bought 5 acres, they were told this was in Houston County. And they paid that price.
Yeah.
I mean, it was,
Yeah, I would have never went for that, dividing 5 acres. I don't know how they slipped that by, but they did it before we knew about it.
Well,
So,
the other aspect of this is, you mentioned Florida. I come to mind that, everybody in Florida moved to Florida in the 50s or whatever to get away from New York City.
they got a church down there to invest in this, to buy these lots. Members of one church each bought these lots thinking it was a Houston County investment. And
Oh,
is there a way for us currently to protect this area, since people are already investing money in, is it all mobile? I think it's currently all just double wides, isn't it?
they look like homes, but yeah,
They're not,
yeah.
it's modular
Yeah.
or the ones that
I thought
bring
they were
up.
home.
Yeah,
They're
one of them
looking
might
at
be
it
a
from the
home,
road
yeah.
when I passed through that way.
Yeah.
But I just would like to see if there's a way to protect it so people aren't deterred from buying and continuing. I know what we've done already can't be undone, but maybe we can.
But now, when they have to go through us now to get, because I don't know how she got by the, dividing 3 lots, the 3 acres there.
You can go divide your house lot out
Mhm.
over there, but they needed our permission for the road.
Variance from the road for the 100 foot of road frontage
If we had
variance.
denied that,
Yeah, then they couldn't have did.
they couldn't have done what they need. And DOT still might. Still with DOT now,
Oh, is it?
they have to approve the driveway.
What you have is you have zoning, and you also have a subdivision ordinance, not to be confused with subdivisions, like a neighborhood type thing, but a division of a larger tract and the smaller ones, and there are certain rules that govern that. Now, you can tweak that some if you have a problem with that, but I mean, that's going to have to be across the board. It operates, it's a separate division than your zoning itself. And they have to kind of work together. So if you start to tweak some here, they've got to be consistent over here.
Couldn't we currently vote to change the R2 to what you just said, their full because they're gonna present us 100 pages of full zoning. But couldn't we recreate R2 immediately and start the process of zoning something? Because on ag, somebody could buy 5 acres and put in a hunting hunting site, not hunting, but where they camp, with the campsite. That's allowed in.
Well, when you say we do it as this board without going through the planning commission coming
No,
forward,
direct them to
do.
to give us the residential zoning now. Don't wait for the full.
I would do it all together. When is that going to be? 6 months versus a year?
I've been told it's 2 years.
I think what I would do is give them a directive of when you want it. Like say I want it.
Yes. I just, anyway, I wasn't even planning on it. I just saw that pop up, and I remember that woman not wanting to buy anymore because it's just up in the air of what can happen to it.
Moving on. Number 14, the Georgia Opioid Crisis Abatement Trust is conducting a virtual workshop on May the 5th to announce its inaugural round of grant awards to fight against opioid epidemic. I plan to attend just to see if there's any funds that we could, but we still not we're still, we're receiving opioid money, small amounts. And but it's restricted on what you can spend it on. And we up to now have not come up with any good use. And we're not the only county that's struggling on how to spend the money. So we'll keep that in order. I'll keep y'all informed. EMS Director Don Williford reports that the new ambulance that was ordered back in December of 2022, almost 2.5 years ago, is scheduled to be delivered in May. One time it was going to be the end of May, then now they're saying maybe middle of May, so I'll believe it when it gets delivered. But we got to make plans to pay for it when it does get delivered. So I requested financing proposals through the ACCG Equipment Financing Program. They have a program that you can submit projects, and they put it out for bid for all the folks that we've only gotten one proposal back yet. That's a Magnolia Bank out of Kentucky. But we've done business. They have financed projects for us through the ACCG program before. I called just this morning. I called ACCG and said, I'm a little disappointed. We've only gotten one proposal for this financing through the ACCG financing program. And he said, yeah, I agree with you. I'm disappointed. But the trend has been most of the banks say, we're not interested if it's less than $1 million. It's not worth our time if it's less than $1 million. So that's what we're dealing with. So I'm not asking for anything today. I'm just saying we have one proposal. Hopefully before we wait till the next meeting, hopefully we can get another proposal just to make sure we're getting a good deal.
So will it be a 2022 ambulance?
No, it's going to be a 2024, a 2025 ambulance. Okay. And they're still honoring the price they bid back in 2022. Okay. Surprisingly. But it hasn't been delivered yet, but supposedly it's on the way.
Got the little bitty one.
No, this is going to be the big, going back to the full size.
Yeah, we should have never went away.
Right. So, I got notice from DOT that they are proposing some improvements to both rest areas. I have no idea what they are, but they got a Zoom, an online meeting next week, and I'm going to sit in on it. I don't see how that's going to involve us any whatsoever.
I can tell you simply because they sent me an email. You must have given my name, or we did an inquiry, and they sent me an email. But their plan is to expand that down there and add another 122 parking spaces for trailer rigs. They've got the existing land.
But within the existing land they have.
Existing land, and they're putting out notice. And locally, I was like the local person, if I'm aware of any historical value, a cemetery, or where Chief Nakahoma was buried, according to my great-great-great-grandparents, that's the kind of stuff they want you to bring up now.
They gonna do it for both of them, or just?
The information they sent me was, I guess, since it was in my district, was this and south. They had room to expand it. They've got like 52 parking areas for 18-wheelers. No doubt they need it because we see them on the on and off ramps. Yeah. I mean, when that time comes up, they got to park, and they have to get their sleep time per se. And,
Will they let us put a gas station in there?
Well, what I would like is for when they come back on the road, have to come up by the fuel center.
South.
If you had an access road, a parallel road, so that they could come up that way.
It'd be mighty convenient for those truckers to have gas they could buy there.
Isn't it, in reality, isn't it sort of a negative for the county to have those two rest areas?
Sure it is. Yeah. And you know why they put here? Because of water. To help the little
City of Honor, City of Honor,
City of Honor. And, but.
to
look
help,
what-
yeah.
But look what it's done. I mean, initially, they were not that nice, but now, when people stop there, they not getting off on your exit. You know?
But it sure would be a shame to disturb ancient grounds.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep-
Not a homeowner, not a homeowner.
I'll keep y'all informed on
It happened
that.
to stop the bridge replacement right out here on Bowling Road. It was artifacts, I'm sure is what it was.
Item number 17, just a reminder that the Public Works Department will start their scrap tire recycling event. It's coming Monday from 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday of next week, and then Monday through Thursday of the following week. But keep in mind, there's only a limited number of tires they can accept, so once they've accepted the maximum numbers, the program will get cut off. So there's no guarantee you can wait till Thursday of 2 weeks from now and show up and they're gonna take it.
I got my orders already.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
in case you remind.
They need to be loaded now. On the trailer, already loaded.
And just go park our trailer in front of the public works department and leave it there
Let's don't
until
do
it's.
that.
Got a
Let's don't.
truckload?
Just like getting food, you gotta get in line.
I think the West have had some deliveries made out there.
Okay, moving right along.
Trucks
We got the first, finally getting familiar with the reporting system of the fuel center up in Public Works, and we sent y'all a copy of the transactions.
Explain it to me.
Okay, all right. There's
Quantity is just gallons.
quantity is gallons, yes. And all right, there's gonna be different accounts, different departments. Like this first section here is for Public Works, for unleaded gas. And then it shows each individual. It's really it's based on a vehicle, but right now it's just showing a vehicle number and the normal driver for that vehicle. We might, someone trying to work on getting the vehicle actually display as well, but we're still working on that. So, and then it shows a total gallons for that period. This is a month period. It shows a dollar figure here, but that's only right for the foreseeable future. We're just putting in the price of per gallon is $1. We're not changing that just yet. So anyway, so that shows, and it shows you the different drivers that got unleaded gas for the Public Works Department. So you get down to the total, and for the month, the Public Works Department got used 929 gallons of unleaded gas. Then for the same department, but for diesel, this is road diesel, not off-road diesel, road diesel. They use 1,382 gallons of road diesel. Then the maintenance department, building maintenance department, unleaded gas, they use 224 gallons. Oh, and it shows if the individuals put in the odometer reading, it shows you the odometer readings on their vehicle.
That's all would be nice.
That's going to be some useful information at times.
I saw one got 20 million gallons.
So-
Right.
I don't know how you.
Back days.
I don't know how you can
Back
get
days.
29 gallons in 2 days.
Zoning, unleaded gas, 17. The rec department, unleaded gas,
I didn't see that.
113 gallons. The tax assessor's office, unleaded gas, 16 gallons. EDC, unleaded gas, 100 gallons. EMS, unleaded gas, which is just Don's Suburban Tahoe, because all the ambulances are diesel,
But they're using it too.
but they're not using it.
Why?
Don said it's not convenient for them. So the Vienna ambulances are still getting fuel from the bus shop, and the Unadilla folks are usually getting it from the service station up there.
What's the reason we got it for?
Yeah, I don't, I mean, this shouldn't have a choice.
Right, that's right, they need to go up there.
Where you putting it there?
Put this into paying taxes on.
Can you get the difference in the per gallon on that diesel from the service station? We need that if we're gonna address it.
Fire department unleaded and fire department diesel. Like you said, this is all road diesel. There's an off-road tank up there, off-road diesel tank up there as well, but it's not hooked to the computer system because the only folks that's going to get that diesel is the road department. So we didn't go to the expense of having the software on that pump.
But still gonna ask you this. The off-road diesel and the road diesel, is there a difference? Can they use it in either vehicle?
No. Well, you can until you get caught. The off-road diesel has a special dye, so it's colored red, I think is what. So if you get caught by DOT in your diesel pickup with red, you're gonna get fined. You're gonna get a significant fine.
Well, how do they know I don't put it in there? I'm just
blows a different, I think the smoke,
okay.
doesn't it come out?
How are you?
I think
I'm
it
just
comes
curious
out,
about off-road.
I think it
They
comes
know.
out exhaust.
They know.
They know.
They hear rumors. They hear.
People talk.
Okay,
Have you seen a savings in fuel bills or?
I'm just getting into it now. Item number 19 for information, Waste Management sent us a notice that they are changing some of the garbage collection routes starting Monday, but supposedly they have stuck a sticker on every can that the route got changed 2 weeks ago.
I seen them doing.
So,
Putting the days on there?
No,
yes,
you gotta get Thursday or
I
whatever.
saw Wednesday on this one.
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Wednesday, Thursday, man.
item number 20, just to remind y'all, this vehicle is currently, we declared it surplus property a couple meetings ago. It is currently listed for sale on Gov Deals. So all you need to do to go bid on it is log into Gov Deals and then search for it, and you can submit a bid.
Scrap man. Really? That thing worth that thing?
10.
10.
Sorry, bid. We've got a bid for 10,000 already.
Really?
The deadline to bid is 2:00 tomorrow afternoon, and I don't expect there'll be a whole lot of bidding action going on until about lunchtime tomorrow, and then it's going to get hot and heavy.
Unless you use it.
The Russian truck.
There are, I've searched other websites that have these vehicles for sale. A similar year model, they've got them listed for sale for $50,000 and $60,000. Now that don't mean they're gonna get it, but that's what they're listed for sale as. Item number 21, just to let you know, DOT is requiring all counties that have a transit service that have a third-party operator. They're changing the way the DOT wants to reimburse these services. Previously they could be based on a per hour basis. Now they're making them go to a per trip basis. So as a result, we're having to go back and open up the bid process to let anybody bid on operating our transit service. When in reality, there's going to be nobody else that wants to do it other than the current vendor, because nobody else does it in South Georgia in rural counties. But the state is making us do it. So you may see something. You're going to see something in the paper. We're requesting proposals. That's what's going on with that.
That's to run D-cuts?
What's formerly called D-cuts. Yes. But the company that runs ours at RMS, they run the majority of the rural transit services in South Georgia. So they're having to do this through all of them. Next meeting is May the 15th. I would like to request an executive session talking about some pending litigation and potential litigation. But before we go into executive session, we have some other items added. Animal control.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, you go first.
We talked about this, I don't know if it was last meeting or a couple of meetings ago, of possibly looking at a intergovernmental agreement on animal control. There's been more instances lately of having to deal with dogs. One recently is out here off 215, where there's a situation of ownership, renters, and 25 dogs. And if the people are evicted, or when they're evicted, the dogs are going to be left. And we have no true animal control. We have a line item in the budget. We fund a line item in the budget for animal control. Back whenever the Humane Society was considered our animal control thing. And I think at one time they served that purpose very well, or they did it, whether they were breaking the rules and taking too many dogs in back then or not. You called them and they came and they did. And I think the Humane Society is a great organization. It serves a purpose for saving dogs that can be readopted. But the Humane Society is no longer serving the county in an animal control area or the citizens that call. And I want to take it a step further. It's a nonprofit service, just like a food bank or a food pantry. And we don't fund food banks and food pantries. We're going to need this money, or we're going to have to find the money to, these $25 are going to be $40 a piece to take down to Cordell, $45 a piece. Again, personally, I'll donate money to the Humane Society, but I don't believe any longer it needs to be a burden on the taxpayers to fund them for them not providing a service. We've got first responders, sheriff's deputies. They arrest somebody on the interstate and they have a dog in the car. What do we do with them? We have nobody to call, and either another sheriff's department employee is housing them, or the sheriff's department is having to pay for them to go down there. We had the dog incident out here at Drayton, and nobody to call. There's no storage out there anymore. And I'm not talking about taking away their. I don't want a pound, but I think it's time that it's been going on since I've been here. There's nobody to call anymore, and I think we need to divert those resources to true animal control.
Third party. Third party.
Third party. All I'm asking to, I'm not saying cut their funding today. I'm saying give them a notice of 60 days that their funding will be cut because, for list whatever reasons, it's a charity. It's a service, nonprofit service, and we've turned down. We don't give to churches. We don't give to anything else. We should not be giving to this, and the phone calls are crazy now. We just, I know it's a tough decision, but why do we keep kicking it down the road? I'd like to give them a notice and
And in those 60 days, look for either an intergovernmental agreement, or find a third-party thing to be the Dooley County Animal Control Hotline.
If I may, Mr. Mixon, if we gave that notice today, if there was a motion to that effect, we could make it effective July 1, if we hand delivered the notice, if that would be the will of the board. I mean, I'm not suggesting.
I'm not
we do
cutting
that.
off discussion to make,
No,
at this point to make a motion, but I'm,
Right.
this is,
I'm just offering that that's a nice deadline, or that's a nice time when you can say, we're gonna have a 6-month agreement with another agency that gives us 30 days to negotiate and get them to approve it in June and to take effect. It's a nice time frame. Now, you can push it out a little bit further, but whenever you have something, if you have a period of time, like a lot of the laws are set on July 1 or January 1 to set effect. And so it helps us kind of keep track in future years of when something changed. So I'm just making that suggestion if that's a consideration.
Well, the negotiation with third party needs to start immediately,
Mhm.
because the problem's now.
Correct.
I mean, we don't need to start it 60 days.
No. You need to get them.
We need to start it now,
We need
because the problem is now.
Right, we've got two issues, I think.
Yeah.
We've got to find someone to do it, but we also, what I hear Mr. Mixon and what I hear Mr. Kaysen and what I think Mr. Barron's gonna say.
you might be against this.
No.
What I think.
I ain't against it, but I don't think 60 days is enough to do what we need to do. I don't think it.
To
I
do,
mean,
to find somebody,
yeah, to find somebody.
but we don't have it, they're not doing anything. Nah.
Because, I mean, them people been out there working, doing a good job, doing the best they can. Then all of a sudden we're going to say, okay, you got 60 days to, because I don't even know how we pay them or whatever. But I don't know if 60 days is going to be enough
About
time
two.
for them.
About 2 a month.
We give them 2 a month, yeah.
$2,000 a month.
And that's for like salaries and
Yeah, I
And
don't know
food
what to do
and-
with it, yeah.
I just don't want to kick them to the curb in 60 days because, I mean, they've been volunteering the services all these years. But we need to do something.
What's the
For us,
time, what time, 90?
No, when we start looking and then decide that when we think we got somebody qualified. I mean, because they're gonna have some dogs out there. Well, they're just gonna take over the.
No. I want them to stay, they can stay there.
Right. Okay.
They can keep using the facility.
But we gonna cut the funds though. I mean, that's just like.
Yeah, the funding needs to go towards the intergovernmental agreement that we set up hopefully with Vion.
And then that's gonna do all the dogs in the whole county with Vion.
Through their deal with Cordell.
Somebody will respond to the event.
Somebody will respond.
When you have it happen, somebody will respond to that
Okay.
event.
That means you're gonna have to pay to house the dogs in
Exactly.
Fort Hill.
Hmm?
You got to
Well, I
pay
want to know what,
them to collect the dogs and
How
then
do
pay
we
to
do
house the dogs, right?
Until they are euthanized.
Most of it was on that bill rate.
and
Or the owner comes
Yeah,
redeems
they
the
can come
dog.
get the dogs from down there, but the problem
Euthanize
is,
adopted. What I think that what needs to be on the table here is the facility you have now is a no kill shelter, so that there is no euthanizing of dogs. And so if you go to this other arrangement, it will allow the same things, which is adoption, replacement with the family or the owner, adoption if within a period of time, or euthanized. It'll add that back on there. That's what I hear.
Well, not only is this not a no-kill shelter, it's a no county limit shelter. You don't know where the dog's coming from. We have dogs come out of Chris County out there. Well, Chris County dogs won't be our problem with our third-party agreement, when we start funding something of that nature. But when you've got just a shelter of this type, they're there to try to rehabilitate and put those dogs back with folks who will take care of them. And it knows no county line.
Do we have any reports that are required
I've heard about
Yearly,
the
quarterly?
puppies in
from the
Chris County.
Humane
we had
Society?
one from 3 years ago, and
95% of our funding was going to payroll. They were having to get additional donations for dogs and vetting. They can't do anything with a dog until they go through all the vetting procedures, which is expensive. Used to, all of the county money went to bedding and food. Everybody was a true volunteer. Now, 95% of county money goes to payroll. At least 95. That was 3 years ago. 5% of it, of our money, was going towards what was needed. So 5% of $1,000 a year was going towards vetting and feeding the dogs. And they were having to get additional donations to do more vetting and more feeding of the dogs. But I hadn't seen, I haven't requested a financial since then, but they still have a payroll, and we still have unanswered calls that they don't serve us anymore. They're still out here. They came out there and took pictures of the dogs to hopefully adopt them. That's great. I hope the dogs can be adopted before they're euthanized, but that's not a county function to worry about a dog getting adopted. We've got to handle the problem.
Can't you give us that, Steve? the breakdown of the salary or payroll, whatever they doing? 'Cause I never seen it.
We just send them a $2,000 check every month.
Oh, we don't know where the breakdown is.
Well, it seems like to me we need to find out some more information before we make a final decision on what we're gonna do. I know it's what everybody's saying around the table. I think everybody for it, but given
What information do we want?
I don't know. I mean about
Like what it's gonna cost,
you know.
and they gonna cover like Unadilla dogs. Do we have to get agreement with
They cover-
Unadilla?
They
Or
cover
they cover-
county, this is rural, this is the county animals.
Okay.
This is out in the county. Unadilla has animal control. Unadilla has an agreement with Court Eagle. They pick up and take to Court Eagle. Biana picks up houses and takes to Court Eagle.
Right,
We're
right.
talking about the
Unincorporated area.
unincorporated areas of the county.
And or the other, I guess.
And I know it's gonna take time to work out an intergovernmental with Biana or whoever.
See, that's what
I'm talking about, what's the timeline of notice of no longer funding something that doesn't work? What is that date?
To Mr. Lester's point, are you talking about what the current group, the budget or the expenditures of the current group, or are you talking about what it will cost us to do it in the future? Which,
Oh, you talking to me? Oh, I'm talking about both. I
okay,
mean, cause I'm satisfied, pretty much with the work they do out there now. Cause I don't know if they get paid or how much they get paid or whatever, but I just don't want to keep them to the curb. And when they've been doing this, you saying it's money, you saying it's a non-profit or whatever. But how was this set up, Steve?
Like I said, initially, they served as animal control. They provided animal control services to the county
Mhm.
and operated the facility out there. And they may have, like you said, exceeded some of the wound up with more dogs than what they could state would legally permit them to do. So they had to cut back significantly on the number of dogs they could house out there. And it being a no-kill facility, reduced the numbers of dogs. So then they only have a vacancy once the dog gets adopted out.
Mhm.
So they don't have the ability to accept new dogs, a significant amount of new dogs.
Mhm. I'm trying to figure out. I mean, so what would we do with the dogs out there now? What would we do with who owned the building? It's a county
The
building.
county still owns the property and the building.
Mhm.
Because what I'm understanding him say is he's willing to allow for the county to continue to allow, he may decide to use that facility.
Mhm.
They have assets there, yeah.
But we just won't provide any funds.
Well, that's up to y'all, what level of funding y'all want to provide, if any, to them.
Well, consider this. We're now, 6 months in this year?
Yeah, we just finished 7 months, actually.
Okay, well, we figured that expense in this budget. Let's go to the end of this budget.
October.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
That's y'all.
Give them notice
So
of,
that'll be-
That's right, because,
Mhm.
we prepared, we budgeted for it to be funded until that time. And that gives both sides notice and time to do our work.
Right. Yeah,
I'll make that motion.
yeah, that's a plan now.
I'll make
Yeah.
that
All right,
motion.
so what is the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I make the motion that we notify the Flint Humane Society that we will be suspending.
We do not intend to renew.
We will not intend to renew funding at the end of this budget cycle, but we will draw up a contract/lease for them to continue to be able to use the facility out at the old county landfill.
Now, Tony, now you need to sort of
That's October 1st.
add on what you
that'll be
need
the end
to.
of,
We're
end of
not
September.
renewing contract effective October 1st.
Oh, that was motion?
Yeah, right, y'all, I'm gonna make sure that,
Well, I can live with that one. Yeah, I mean, that gives them, what month is this? May? Is it May today?
Again, May
June,
1st.
July.
And in the next 30 days,
They give
in the
5
next
months.
30
I can live with
days,
that. It's
we'll
not like-
research options for a third party or an intergovernmental agreement
For animal control.
for animal control.
And right now, we give them 2,000 a month.
That gives them 5 months to get everything together, which is versus 60 days. That's actually 90 days beyond the 60 days. That's 150 days.
And then, I mean, are we saying then we might go to zero budget if we can find somebody?
We'll have to, in our budget process, once we get a price of an intergovernmental, we'll divert this money to true animal control.
Probably have to put some with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So- You have a motion on the floor.
and I'm hoping that motion and Tony motion will sort of,
Well, I think it's
Yeah,
I
in
can kind of deal with the end of fiscal year, like Mr. Casey was saying.
So is that a second?
No, I'm not gonna second it.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
All right, so you're
somebody else can second it.
okay with the motion as presented without adding anything to it?
I said,
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, now it has been motion and second, so now we're gonna pick it back on this a little bit more in the discussion part of it now.
Yeah, my discussion was similar to your.
Oh, no, I hadn't even added my little 2 cent worth in.
That's what I'm saying. Yours about the dollars too.
Yeah,
Or
it about, yeah. My problem is, the people that live out there, they said it just come feeding time.
Mhm.
They can't, man, I mean, it's
Making a lot of noise.
man, they're talking about this big time. How can, and I wanted to know, is there any kind of way that a wall or something, a buffer wall, it can be added to the facility? Because those people got to live out there, and I don't know how long they've been putting up with, but they say it is just almost unbearable.
Is it?
Yeah, out there.
When I ride down Truman, because I can hear them there too, and
Uh-huh.
the curve right there, but I don't know, maybe a tree line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I
Leland
mean,
Cypress or something that
Yeah,
was.
some- little grove.
I don't know how much the tree line gonna.
Well,
I mean,
That's pretty close, the facility is pretty close to the railroad track, and you've got to have 25 feet from the center line back before you can put anything up. So you need to have someone do the math on that and make sure we can do it, because it's pretty close. I haven't been out there in a while, but, and I can hear them, and I live about a mile from it, a little bit less than a mile, but right at it. I can hear them sometimes in the wintertime and all that when the trees aren't up. I can hear them at those times, and they're hungry.
right.
Or somebody will ride, like, we'll ride, when they were doing the work on that pond back there, I rode back there, and if they see you, they'll just.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then as soon as it's gone, it's like it gets all of a sudden quiet, like boom.
Right. Now, yeah, and I know in building they you can put up barriers, to insulate the wall so sound won't travel. You can hear, but it's just a minimal sound here. But now I know you live right behind them out there, and yeah, I know you probably.
All day, all night.
Yeah, I mean you live right there beside them. Yeah, I mean yeah. So you said back there. So I mean that was part of in the motion and stuff about trying to do something about buffering the sound for all the people that live out there. And she didn't complain to me, but I had some more other people. Man, you ain't doing nothing, man. What about all these dogs? You need to move out here. No, I can't. Your fault,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, it should have been complaining though.
Yeah.
This is the first complaint we ever got.
Yeah, well,
They're working on enclosing that.
yeah. See, that's what I was saying.
There was a plan, I don't know
If you could enclose it and then put that thick styrofoam, that at least that would buffer the sound, to keep it from aggravating all them people that live over there in a little subdivision over there.
Well,
And you and
But it's just something, we need to work on it, just the plan we talking about. Cause, they're gonna come and get the dog. Well, every time somebody call them, they're gonna be on 24 hours or they're gonna be on just 8 hours a day. They're gonna, weekend. How do, we need to come up with a plan.
The new animal control.
Yeah.
Cordell, I think they showed up. They shown up at midnight
That's what I'm
to
saying,
help
yeah.
us on certain things. I mean, yeah, this whatever the future is a true on call. They're coming to get them. It's not. They're never. I'm not. They might be full sometime, but after 10 days, they can euthanize an animal. So they're never not going to come.
Okay. That's my problem right there. But go ahead.
okay, that's
I'm not gonna vote for it.
anybody else got
I'm just gonna
anything?
abstain from voting on this one.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else got anything in the discussion before we vote on it? If not, all in favor by the show of hands. Okay, all right. I got it. Abstention, and then, but the motion carried. That's all that matters. Okay.
Okay, then grass cutting.
Well, my complaint about that is I ain't got no complaint, but hearing from other people, they swear we only cut on one side of the county, and on the northern side of the county.
He's hanging out, do it too
do we have
They
a
said
rest?
the grass, they get out the vehicle and the grass is the same height as them. They cannot see. Stop sign, but not they just don't mow. And my comeback was, I said, if I ain't mistaken, now that to me, I thought we had a routine where we go all the way around the county, and then once we get to that point, then we start all back over again. So nobody should be getting. I think Tony might have said somebody did one before too, but
One time a year might be good.
so we. So I told
I
them
know we short of help. That's the only reason I ain't been
I
fussing lately.
yeah.
But man, it's ridiculous because somebody pull on the side of the road
Yeah.
in the car hot, it's gonna catch fire. Come too much Brian Grant. But,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't
but
keep.
maybe
up
we'll
with
hire
it.
somebody soon.
Yeah, operate two.
We have two grass cutting tractors and mowers. Unfortunately, we are down an operator
Yeah.
since last year. We're advertising for that. And it's my understanding they do have a route. They start at a particular spot and then supposedly they go around the county and then just.
That's right. That was my comeback, and
But just so you know, we're in the process of putting GPS tracking devices on all the trucks and equipment at the Public Works Department. With one of the benefits is we can then monitor what roads have been mowed. So if somebody says, my road ain't been mowed all year, we can go back and document when that road was mowed.
Right.
Or my road ain't been scraped all year. Not a whole lot of money, actually. It's fairly inexpensive.
When you mowing roadside with bush hog, I mean, let's face it, when we get the rain we get,
It'll be back up.
when they mow it, it's still this high.
Yeah, in a week.
It's not gonna be like your lawn at home, you know, people have to understand that. I mean, within 3 weeks, it's bad. I mean, because you can't cut it close enough.
But like I told the guy, I said, man, I try to hit the county, I get out there and mow right in front of my house.
A lot of people do
You
that.
wanna get the county, go about a mile or two down the road.
I might be with somebody right away there. I might not like it.
You put the grass, you
Oh,
know.
Yes, yeah. Okay, and then, the other thing, the grant, how, if that guy gonna come back and I got hit with this grant thing, about houses and all that kind of stuff. You know, one we got denied last year, about the drain thing and all that,
River Valley Regional Commission is supposedly working on submitting that grant application again.
Okay.
I haven't heard from them lately, but
It's in the works.
it's in the works, but I thought the deadline for the grant application was April. I'll have to check on what the status of it is, but we told them we wanted them to resubmit and they said they would, but I ain't heard a word from them.
Last count I had, it was 8 or 10. They had 8 or 10 that they were working on. They had done, I should say.
Right.
Had requested funding for it.
I'll check on that.
Okay, that's all I have.
The only other thing of the executive session I'd like to request, Mr. Chairman, for pending litigation and potential litigation.
Okay. Motion.
Have a motion to go into executive session.
That's it.
Okay, there's been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. That motion carried. Now we're heading into.
Hold on, let me turn this.
Darren, you don't miss your buddy, please. You don't miss.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of executive session as read in executive session.
There's a motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. All right, we're back in regular section. Anything else, Mr. Steve?
No, sir.
All right.
Nothing else? No, you sure?
I'm sure.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All in favor, please stand up and left.
All right,
Yeah.
then.